My sermon this morning is titled, The Substance of Faith. The Substance of Faith. You know, when I meet people, I usually ask them two questions. I say, what is your faith? What is your faith? What do you believe in? And then I ask them, how do you practice your faith? How do you practice your faith? Often, people are so unclear about how they practice their faith. And, I don't know. But we have to be clear about what our faith is and practice it daily. So I want to speak about that today. In the Bible, Apostle Paul writes in Hebrews 11 and 1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So faith is substance and evidence. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is not feeling good. Faith is substance and evidence. So in leading a life of faith, we must have something substantial to show. Right? Our true mother, so if you're here for the first time, we refer to our founders as true mother and true father. And so our true mother, Holy Mother Anne, says we must have something to show. She repeats this over and over again. We must have something to show to the world. We must have something to show to heavenly parents. Actually, she say, don't say it's not prayer, it's report. We shouldn't pray anymore. We should report. But in order to report, you need to have something to report about. So our life of faith is a life of substance. You must have substance to report to heavenly parents. Right? So that's why when we pray, at the end we say, I report this in my name. Right? So the content of our prayer is the substance of our life of faith. What you are doing with God and what God is doing through you. So faith is substance and evidence. A life truly lived with God substantially transforms. When we encounter God, we are substantially transformed. Right? You know the story in the Bible of this blind man who encountered Jesus, then he was healed, and they asked me, please explain to me the theology of Jesus. Is he the Messiah? Then he said, well, I don't know anything about that Messiah stuff. All I know is that I was blind, but now I see. All I know is that I have the substance of having meeting God. I have been substantially transformed by God through Jesus. Wow, then people didn't know what to do with him because, you can't argue with substance, right? You can argue with theology, you can disagree with it all you want, but where there is substance, you cannot argue against it. So that's why in leading a life of faith, we must have something to show. Our biggest testimony is what has happened in my life as a result of having met true parents. For me, my biggest testimony is what kind of life I've been able to live as a result of my parents meeting true parents. That's my gratitude point because my parents met true parents. I've had a great life. So there must be substance in leading a life of faith. However, there is a gap in our faith. Yes, we believe, many of us say how great the teachings of our true parents are. We believe, we agree with God's will. Yet, action does not always follow. Action does not always follow. This is our challenge. But without action, there is no substance. Substance only comes through action. So our true Father talks about this point. They say when we look at faith and practice, there is always a gap between the two. Faith always precedes practice, not the other way around. That's fine. Only when fallen human beings have strong faith can they practice it vigorously. So that's the foundation. But God, right, listen to this. But God does not look at faith only. God does not look at faith only. God requires faith as a bridge to a better outcome through practice. So precious, that's why I color-coded it for you. You're welcome. It's great words. All right, God requires faith as a bridge to a better outcome through practice. In spite of this, people neglect the practice and focus primarily on faith. That's why we have hours and hours of theological debate. Stop wasting your time. I always say, often we learn the word so that we can teach it. But that's not the purpose of learning the words. We learn the word so we can practice it. We learn the word so we can become true sons and daughters. Whereas, but often we are, you can't be a good teacher if you have not become a true son or a true daughter. I always tell a story of this man. And, it's like, his wife came to me and complained so much about him. And then somehow, right after I was done talking to his wife, he calls me. So like God arranged it just like that. Then we talk also, then we end up just talking about how marriage is going. And so then I say, well, we have to keep, it's not easy. Marriage is not easy, right? Marriage is where we are challenged the most, actually. So your parents, you have no option. They are your parents, right? Your children, they are your children. Brothers and sisters, they are your brothers and sisters. Your spouse was raised by somebody else in a different culture, and you have to deal with all that. So marriage is not easy, so we have to keep working at it. So we talked about it, and then I say, hey, we have a marriage seminar coming up. Would you like to come? Would you like to come? So it's good if you can come. He say, oh, actually, I'm busy. I have this and this to do. Then I convinced him to come. Then he comes and he sits through it, and it's great content is presented. Then at the end, and so I asked him, how was it? He said, wow, this is really great content. I think our guests are going to enjoy this. I said, God, no, I invited it so that you can use it. It's for you. It's not for the guests. It's for you. We are always thinking in terms of teachings other people. But the purpose of studying the words is so that we ourselves may be transformed by it. It's so that the words can find a place in our hearts and transform us. Then we can bring the substance. If we become true sons and daughters, then we can become good teachers. Actually, mother says, as our true mother says, if we have become it, then we don't even need to lecture it. All we need to do is to show. All we need to do is to show. So, if a new person comes into our church, we don't even need to sit them down. We say, oh, this is what you can become if you follow true parents. I say, oh, that's exciting. I want to become that. I want to become it myself. That's the substance we are looking for. Oh, this is, in spite of this, people neglect the practice and focus primarily on faith. This is at odds with what God desires. But this is the way people generally practice their faith. Wow. If you look from an historical perspective at how God has searched for people, you will see that he has found people through their conditions of faith. On the one hand, God has asked people to establish conditions of faith. But on the other hand, God has demanded that people put their faith into actions. God has demanded that people put their faith into actions. After you create a bond of heart with God, in order to gain a foothold to erase feelings of sadness, you need to forge the path of putting faith into practice. Only in this way you can establish history-shaping connections. Wow. So profound words, such a profound guidance from our true Father. But we must put our faith into practice. This is how God has worked throughout history. Yes, we must have faith. That's the foundation of it. But then we must put it into practice. So in the world of sports, they say, your result is driven by how you practice. Your result is driven by how you practice. Because how you practice is ultimately how you play. So to get the result of faith, we must practice our faith well daily. We must practice our faith well daily. This is our calling. You want good results? Well, you must practice, right? Practice or perfect practice makes perfect. But any practice makes it permanent. Whatever you practice becomes permanent. So perfect practice, if you practice perfectly, you become perfect. So the core of faith is that we must constantly practice our highest self. This is the core of faith, that we practice our highest self always. What does it look like when we show up at our very best? This is our challenge, to show up at our very best. As you know, I met this man who was a recovering alcoholic, and he was going through what is called the AA, right? He was going through it, right? And so we at the same time that we started studying the divine principle together, then he began to tell me that, wow, this stuff we are reading is almost like what I am learning in this AA, because what they learn is the principle of living as if. Live as if you are not an alcoholic. So that's what they learned. So he began to talk to me about it. And so when we read the divine principle, he said, wow, this is almost like calling us to live as if we're the best version of ourselves. But this is our faith. We are called to live as if we were perfect. And as we strive to live that way, then we become it. So living as if, we must live as if we were perfect. Then that's the only way we achieve it. So every day, in every moment, we should ask, what would a perfect person do? That we constantly measure ourselves against it. So living as if means, what would the highest or the best version act like? What would the best version of humanity be like? Then let's act that way. That is our faith. What would the best version of a husband be like? That is our challenge. What would the best version of a wife be like? That is our challenge. What would the best version of a parent be like? Then act that way. What would the best version of a child? The parent-child relationship is the most challenging. And so parents should always measure themselves against what it means to be a true parent. What would the best version of a parent and be in this moment? If we pause and ask ourselves that question, and wow, how amazing would it be? When as a child we feel frustrated with our parents, and then we should pause and ask ourselves the question, what would the best version of a child be like in this moment? Same with brothers and sisters. Same at work. What would the best employee be like? Well, how would the best employee act like? Whatever we do, we must always strive to be the best version of it. That is our faith. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he gave this incredible speech. He was visiting Philadelphia, and then he was invited to speak at this junior high school. Then he gave them, you should look it up. It's a great, great speech. He gave them this speech titled, What is in Your Life's Blueprint? Great speech. You should look it up. It's on YouTube. You can listen to the full speech. But in that speech, he tells the students this: if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. Isn't that amazing? Please give it up for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Father called him the greatest American of the 21st century. But anyways, this is the standards, I feel, of our faith. Whatever we are called to do it so well that God is amazed. Do it so well that the entire spirit world is amazed. Do it so well that the world is in awe. Like, wow, this is great. So if you are called to be a husband, do it so well that God is impressed. If you are called to be a wife, do it so well that God is impressed. A son or daughter, brother and sister, do it so well that all the hosts of heaven are impressed. This is our life calling. This is our faith. This is what we are called to practice, this kind of faith. So, we strive every day to reach our highest self. This is the first blessing. This is what it means to be fruitful, to strive every day to reach our highest self. And in so doing, we believe that the kingdom of heaven would come. Can you imagine a world where everyone was striving to be their highest self, to be the best version of themselves, to be the best version that God has called them to be? Can you imagine that world? That's the kingdom of heaven. That's why our true parents say it is possible. It is possible, but it is a reality that we create. This is our witness, actually. This is our witness. This is the journey that we are inviting the world to join. See, it's not all the lectures and everything. Sometimes people feel that to witness is there must be a good lecturer. No, no. Oh, all you need to do is to strive to live in this way. You are already in the witnessing process. If you are living this kind of life, you are witnessing. Because the world is watching. The world now is in chaos. The world is looking for a standard. This world has no standard at all. So whoever sets the highest standards will lead the world. Whoever sets the highest standards become an inspiration for the world. So if we live this kind of life as a community, then we are witnessing because people would come. Then this would become a magnet. And this is our true mother's wish, that we become a magnet. People are drawn to us of their own volition. Have you heard our true mother say this? People should be drawn to us in their own volition. That they come, they want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of a group that is striving to live, to reach their highest self. So it's a journey that we are in. We are not converting people. We are not in the business of converting people. We are inviting people on a journey. And my hope is that this can become that kind of church that is inviting people on a journey. Come join us so that we can all become the best version that God has called us to be. This is witnessing. So if you had been struggling with witnessing, I just helped you this morning. This is our calling. So, true mother, I will end here so we can have lunch. I'm excited for lunch. But I want you to focus on where I'm about to end here. Our true mother said, yet, can this be done just by talking? If you want to live up to your faith, you have to move your body. If you want to live up to your faith, you have to move your body. You know, it's like both Junka and Julie invited everybody to move forward, and nobody moved. It's like nobody wants to move their body. If you want to live up to your faith, you have to move your body. I think everybody thinks they're not talking to me, they're talking to somebody else. But I always wonder, it's like, whose seats are these? I always wonder. Sometimes I feel lonely, it's just me here because my wife is taking care of the kids. It's just me here. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay because it reminds me that we need to grow. You know, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the day when we add to our newsletter, come on time because seats are limited. I'm looking forward to that day. But that day will catch you by surprise. If you come 10 minutes late, you'll come and then there will be no seat. And no parking. That too. No parking. Wow, then there will be a problem. Then you'll be sad because that will be the great service. Right? If you think this is great, just stick around and see. And see what God is about to do here. But mother said, you have to move your body. We have to move. We have to move to put your faith into practice, to live up to your faith. You have to move your body. Will you do that? Right? Mother does not say, are you going to talk about it? Are you going to share it with us? She says, will you do it? You have to do it. You have to move your body. You know, I want to challenge everyone. I think I pretty much know where everyone sits. I can come during the week and put names of where everybody sits, actually. But I want to challenge you to move your body. Sometime sit somewhere else. Experience this Sunday service from a different position. You have to move your body. In leading a life of faith, you cannot just follow routines. It cannot be routine. You have to experience God in a new way. Move your body. This is what Mother is telling us. Move your body. Move. Don't be stagnant. God is on the move. If you are not moving, then you are left behind. Don't get left behind. You have to move. Do whatever you can. Wow, I love Dr. Martin Luther King has this quote where he says, if you can't run, walk, if you can't walk, crawl, and in whatever means possible, you have to move forward. Do whatever. See, if you can't run anymore, if your legs are giving up, you can't run. How about you roll yourself? Whatever you can. Don't be stuck. Don't be stagnant. You are the pure water. God has called you as the pure water. Don't be stuck. Don't be stagnant. If water becomes stagnant, then it rots. You don't want to become rotten water. So move. Move with God. Will you do this? Can I trust you? Those who were there said yes. Can I trust you to move, to be active? If to not be stuck. Then she said, listen to this. Listen to this. I need to calm myself down so I can read this very well. I very much want to believe you with a pure and loving heart. I hope that you do not disappoint me anymore. If you pledge not to do so, if you pledge not to disappoint me anymore, please stand up and clap your hands. All right, thank you. This is my kind of church. I love this church. This is a great church. This is a church that would not disappoint God. But now I don't know what to do because you stood. Because when they stood, they sang the song of unity. They sang the song of unity. Maybe Omura-san should come and lead us in the song of unity. But anyways, I'll finish here. Let us move our bodies in such a way that God can work. Let us move, brothers and sisters. Let us not be stagnant. And, this is my sermon today, but I want to see a church that is moving because God wants to see a church that is moving. But in order for the church to move, each one of us must move. So we have just stood up pledging ourselves that we'll move. So with that, please join me in prayer. Dear God, our Heavenly Parents, thank you. Thank you so much for this day. Thank you for bringing us here together as a community, sharing your love, your precious words, your guidance with us. You're calling us to practice our faith, to become the substance of everything that our true parents, everything that Jesus has invested in us. Today we are pledging that we will become that kind of church. We will become that kind of people. So I pray that you can work through us, work through this church. Grant us the power that we need so that we move, Heavenly Parents. We do not want to be stagnant. We want to move. But we cannot do this with our own might, Heavenly Parents. So we pray that you may continue granting us the power of heaven, granting us your power, filling us with your Spirit so that we move. So I pray that these words that were spoken and shared here this morning can find a place in the hearts of each one of us gathered here, those watching online, and that we may be transformed by them. And that throughout this week we can bear the fruits that you intended for these words to bear in our lives. So I want to report this to you in my name, Hebangja, a blessed central family, gratefully attending Holy Mother Han. Aju.